Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Sadie, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tegan.
Hey.
And today, we're talking all about how to survive and thrive through the fall and winter months. I feel like everybody I've been talking to lately is just in this weird funk where it's like, I'm just so tired. I'm just feeling off, and I don't know why. And I really think it's just the start of the fall winter blues kind of thing where it's changing season, long, cold, dark days, and it snuck up really fast on us after such a great summer. So we're all kind of feeling this way, and we thought we would talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person who loves fall, but also dreads it. Like by the end of summer, I'm kind of like over summer, but at the same time, I think that fall and winter can be really hard, and it's all your weather's a lot colder and rainier. The shorter days, like it gets dark, especially in Canada. It gets dark so early nowadays. And it's like a really isolating time too, because it's like you don't want to leave the house if the weather's bad. Your friends don't want to leave the house if the weather's bad. And I find that it's so easy to just like slip into a pattern of like just sitting at your desk all day, not moving. Then the only time you move is to like go and sit on the couch and watch like 5 hours of The Office and have like a really unhealthy meal and then scroll on your phone and fall asleep too late. Like I feel like in the summer, I'll have like one of those days every once in a while where it's like, this is all I can do, relax it. But in the fall, it's like you have to put an effort to make it so that your life doesn't look like that every single day.
I know, 100%. And I'm definitely an introvert. So like, I think us introverts, like we love fall and winter because, we don't feel pressure to be out and about, like doing all this stuff like you might feel in the summer. But I feel like I can spend a lot of time alone, but then all of a sudden I'll get really moody and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And it's like, well, it's because you've spent so much time at home or by yourself because I'm introverted. Like all of a sudden it just starts to like build up and I just get like really moody and feel like something's off. And I think it's just having now the self-awareness to be like, okay, well, it's fine to be introverted. It's fine to hibernate. It's fine to take it easy and to rest and relax, especially through the fall, winter months. But sometimes, like, I feel like there's such thing as like getting too much alone time, getting too much home time, and then you just start to feel like really funny. So this is just kind of an episode to say what you can do to like kind of turn around things in your routine if you're starting to feel like you're needing a little bit of extra motivation to get out and about and out of her hermit mode that I know I'm currently in right now. But I thought maybe we could actually start by, I seen going around TikTok, this is probably a few weeks ago since I am like so off and on with TikTok, but the last time I was on TikTok, people were just posting videos of things I'm struggling with right now. And I just love this so much. I saw some celebrities post this and it wasn't like sarcastic. It was just like these are actual things that they're struggling with. And it was just like kind of a little glimpse into their life in a very like raw way. So I thought maybe we could start with that and just talk about what we're currently struggling with because I feel like it might set the scene for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, I can start because I feel like this week especially, like we in Canada just had our Canadian Thanksgiving, which I feel like is truly the start of like autumn. And so this week, like post Thanksgiving, it's been like, okay, no, this is fall, like summer is over. This is our life now. And this whole year, I feel like this has come up a lot with me, but I feel like my work and working from home has been really like, I don't know, it's fluctuated a lot, I guess. And I'm like on this soul searching journey of what I want to do. But I'm at this part in my journey where I'm just feeling very like unmotivated and uninspired, which is really hard when you're supposed to be creative, and you're supposed to be creative like on demand 40 hours a week. And then you're just like, do I even want to be doing this? Or like, I know I want to be doing this, but how am I going to do this? I know I want to be innovating, but how can I be innovating? And it's just so easy, I feel like, to be sucked into like a cycle of negativity, or like a cycle of all these people are doing cool things and I'm not doing anything cool. And so I'm trying to like navigate that. And a lot of my horoscopes actually said that this would be like a major struggle for me in October. So I guess like maybe I shouldn't fight it and just accept it. But yeah, so I've been dealing with that. And it's also just hard, like working from home. As much as I love working from home, I find that now that I see people outside of work less, it can be very grating that like, okay, the only people I see and talk to are people who I work with and who, you know, are asking me to do things or critiquing my work. And I'm just less active. So I've had like a sore back from working from home that I'm trying to like work on. And yeah, I've like not been moving my body enough. I feel like I've been overeating and not eating healthy. Like it's almost like all elements of my life, I've like upped the laziness factor, which is like fine to a certain extent, because it's like, yeah, take care of yourself. If you need a break, take a break. But then it's reaching a point where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe the break needs to like pull back a little, because maybe you're relaxing a little too much. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you, Sadie?
Yeah, I feel you on the whole work from home thing. Just in the past few weeks, I've really been struggling with this, and I have a hard time because I'm like, we've been working from home for 2 years, or at least I have, like
Yeah.
purely for 2 years. Why
Yeah.
is this still a struggle for me?
Mhm.
But I'm trying to give myself a little bit of compassion and just be like, it's okay if, you know,
Yeah.
it's ups and downs. But for me, I really think it's kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning of this episode, where like I just spend so much time at home. And a big chunk of that is because I work from home. So it just has
Mhm.
turned into like a lot of alone time, a lot of at home time. And now that it, like you were saying, Tag, it's so dark by the time, you know, I'm like ready to go out for the evening and whatnot. It's not that
Yeah.
dark or dark that early just yet, but it's heading
Yeah.
that way, and it's still just like dark, cold nights, rainy nights,
Mhm.
whatever, where I'm like, I don't feel inspired to go out after work. So it just
Yeah.
becomes a lot of at home time. So struggling with that from work from home. Also, I find since I don't have plans after work, or I haven't lately, I am working past 5 p.m. So like 5:30, maybe 6, and I'm just like working long days again. And I'm also really feeling that fluctuating motivation where I'm not inspired to do things
Yeah.
because I'm just like working from home and feeling kind of
Yeah.
the like work from home burnout, but at the same time I have a lot to do. So it's like really just in
Yeah.
this weird spot with work, but I really do feel like it all stems from working from home. And sorry, just while I'm also on this topic, my company's a permanent work from home company now. So I
Mhm.
feel like knowing the end was in sight, what was pulling me through the past 2
Right.
years of working from home. But now I'm like, this is my life forever, and I don't know if it's working for me. So
Yeah.
trying to figure that out. I also feel like I just said I'm working past my like work hours and I'm overworking, but I feel like I'm also oversleeping. So
Mm.
come, you know, usually I'm like lights out 11:30, but the past like few weeks again I've been like 10:30, I'm ready for
Mhm.
bed. Like lights out by 11 latest, and then I'm having
Yeah.
a really hard time getting up in the mornings and continuing with my morning routine that I was like so set on since the beginning of the year. But now I'm sleeping like 11 until like 8:30, which is like nine
Mhm.
and a half hours of sleep every night. And I fell into this pattern through the pandemic where too much sleep is like really bad for me, but I'm somebody who can sleep at all times. So
Mhm.
just something to be conscious of. But I feel like I'm oversleeping. And also, I'm not drinking enough water. So through the summer, it's
Mm,
so easy to drink water because it's like I'm sweating, like I need to be like
yeah.
replenishing and like I'm like feeling dehydrated because it's just so warm and I'm being so active. But as soon as it turns cold outside, I'm like, I just want tea and coffee and I don't want anything else, like just hot
Yeah.
drinks. So I'm really struggling to just drink my 3 to 4 water bottles a day, which is like my goal on my habit tracker. But my skin is freaking out. I'm just feeling really yucky. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
because I haven't been drinking enough water. So, all around, our lives are a struggle. That's what we're trying to get at. we're
Yeah.
not we're not with the work from home. We're not with the food, the drinks, the
Yeah.
sleeping. Yeah. We're a
Yeah.
hot mess right now.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like this is the time, maybe this isn't true, but I feel like this is a time of year frequently where it's like this is how you feel. Like January, you're
Mhm.
like, okay, new year, new me, let's go. And then you're like, okay, summer's around the corner. Like, that's very motivating. But now it's like, let's just get this year over with. Like, I don't know if it's different for you
Yeah.
because it's like your birthday comes up, but my birthday's in June. So I don't even have that as being like, okay, it's my new year. Like, I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
let's move on. I'll see you January 1st and we'll start again.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I really love the fall and
Yeah.
like I typically like the change of pace after the
Mm.
summer, but this year just feels really drastic and I feel like I don't know. I feel like every fall it is kind of this way though, where as soon as
Yeah.
it starts getting dark early, it just feels so
Yeah.
sudden. And then it takes a minute to like adjust. And I feel
Yeah,
like that's
for
the point
sure.
I'm at right now because even in a few weeks, like when the clocks go back and then it gets actually dark at like 5
Yeah.
p.m., that's rough every single year. But then you kind of lean into it and then the Christmas vibes start and like that I
Mhm.
love that so much. So I feel like there is still a lot to like look forward to this year, but it is that weird transition between seasons where I'm like, I don't know, trying to
Yeah.
figure things out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think
Yeah.
that's a good place to maybe start diving into our tips and tricks for surviving the fall and the winter. And hopefully we can follow our own tricks and start feeling better and
Yeah.
get our motivation back.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, people are probably like, "You guys are literally a hot mess. Why
Yeah.
why would I listen to this?"
Yeah.
But this is a pep talk for us just as much as it is one for you guys too. But
For
I do
sure.
wanna say too, like, I think we have a lot of great ideas put down here and, like, things that I've been thinking about, like, implementing in my own life as I try to, like, weed through these, like, strange emotions and, like,
Mhm.
get my footing headed into fall. But I feel like if you're happy just like resting and like this
Yeah.
change of pace is like welcome and you're really happy to be a hermit at home and just be spending time by yourself like or spending time with like friends, cozy nights and like do your thing. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
not saying you need to be like productive and
Mhm.
you need to be like constantly improving yourself, working on something. I just like want to bring awareness to like how if you're hermiting forever kind of thing, like I fall into patterns of this, like I was
Yeah.
saying, it can become too much. And that's when you start to feel sluggish. You might feel lazy. You might feel like really isolated. So if you're feeling that way, if it's now, if it's a month from now, if it's in January after Christmas is done, like this is an episode you
Mhm.
can return to just to get some inspiration on how you can change up things in your day to day to feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to say too that like you feeling sluggish or tired all the time or burnt out, like that's the symptom of something else. So I think our suggestions are trying to fix the things that could be causing you to feel those ways. Like, so if
Mhm.
you're feeling burnt out at work, like the problem is something to do with your work. You know, the problem isn't you're unmotivated or you're lazy. It's obviously something's gone wrong. Or like if you're oversleeping, the problem isn't, well, you're just a lazy person, you know, like that's a symptom of something else. And so sometimes it takes like the reflection or the trial and error with maybe some of these ideas we're suggesting to figure out, like you said, I've been feeling really sluggish and blah, and I think it's because I'm not drinking enough water. So these are just like little things that will hopefully help change the way though that you're feeling. But I feel like all of those things that we mentioned are kind of like alarm bells being like, okay, something's not right, something's not working, you know.
Yeah And you just need to give yourself a little extra TLC, you know.
Exactly.
So the first thing that we have on our list is addressing those short, cold, dark days. I think if you're someone who usually has all your plans in the evenings, you know, and like that's really when you're getting out of your house outside of work hours, once the work day is done, heading into the fall, like your window of daylight is so much shorter after work hours. So something that I love to do through the winter months especially is like getting out for a midday walk, you know, and like soaking up the daylight, soaking up some sunshine, some vitamin D while the sun is actually out, and kind of changing my schedule to like make sure I'm getting that time in rather than my workday ending being like, oh, I haven't left the house. Oh, but now it's dark outside. I'm not going to leave the house at all, you know? So getting outside, making sure you're getting some daylight hours in, you know? And if you're not maybe able to go out through the middle of the day, maybe you're getting up earlier and going for like a morning walk or something like that. But just like really optimizing your schedule around like when you can get outside to like soak up some sunlight.
Yeah, well, and I've even found it helpful to use those like SAD lights or, you know, like those sun therapy lights, especially like if you're a Toronto girly and you're in a teeny tiny condo that has very little natural light. I used to have an alarm clock that would like wake you up with the daylight. And another thing is consider taking vitamin D supplements, because my doctor said that every single patient she sees that's from Toronto, she recommends that, just because she's like, most people who live in big cities don't get enough vitamin D. And so I also wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, talk to your doctor. But that's something that I do and purposely try to keep up. I have like a whole vitamin routine at this point, but vitamin D is one of them, because when you're sitting at your computer all day working and then it's dark by the time your work day's done, it's hard to get that vitamin D in.
Totally. And I'm someone too who really struggles to like get out of bed in the morning. Like I said, like I've really been like oversleeping. So even though it's like prime, you know, daylight time, like in the mornings, I feel like having a morning routine that gets you excited to get out of bed also really helps. So if it's working like a walk into your morning routine, even if it's just like drinking your coffee, like in front of a big window, or doing yoga in your living room where you get some like daylight, like just creating a morning routine that actually gets you up and at 'em, I think goes a long way as well.
Yeah, definitely. The next thing that I wanted to bring up is to invest in good quality clothes, because there's this saying that there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. And so the idea is that you should always be able to go outside and have a walk and just like enjoy the outdoor world. And so if you're the type of person who's like, I hate the fall, I hate the winter, it's so cold, I never leave the house, it might be that your winter coat's not warm enough, or your winter boots, or you don't have, you know, gloves that will keep your hands warm. And then like, yeah, that's a valid problem if you're freezing every time you leave the house. So this is just a reminder that it is worth it to invest in warm clothes for colder days, or to get really nice rain gear, that kind of stuff. And like, I know it sucks, but it's about more than looks. It's about keeping you safe and comfortable. Although nowadays, like, I feel like with Aritzia and stuff, there are like really nice, I don't know, like puffer jackets and things that will actually keep you warm. But that's just one piece of advice, because I found, like, especially when it's really snowy, going out for walks makes a huge difference in the day-to-day.
Yeah, you can enjoy it when you're comfortable and dressed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think next on my list is making plans to get you out of the house. So this is more than like just going for a walk, but actually giving you something to do. So I think it's especially important for people who are also introverted like I am, but something that I recently changed for my October routine was I was doing an at-home workout program, but since I was having my freak out about spending so much time at home, I was like, this is something I can do outside of my house, like to go to the gym, to go to workout classes. Like that's something that gets me out and about, and it's great, you know, like it's a great way to take something that's already in my existing routine, but do it, I don't know, outside of my house and hold me accountable still. So the other great thing about like workout classes is often you like sign up for them ahead of time. So like speaking of like holding yourself accountable, I feel like it's harder to like just brush it off if you're like scheduling it into your agenda and actually signing up for the class a day or two ahead of time. Like all you need to do at that point is just show up and actually do it. So I think workout classes is great. Could also be a hobby. I know like usually like September or through the fall, there's usually like new leagues start if you're like into sports, or different classes start if you're into like artsy things, cooking classes, like literally anything. So it could be a really great time to pick up a new hobby. That's something I'm wanting to do, but I just I'm feeling like overwhelmed, don't know where to start. So I've started with the workout classes, but I'm hoping to extend to pick up a new hobby in the coming weeks as well.
Right. Yeah. I did want to say on the subject of like working out, if you are feeling burnout, that's like one of the number one ways to try and combat that, which is like awesome because it's so easy, but also annoying because it's so easy, because it's like I could have been doing this the whole time. But I talked about like a couple episodes ago how I was reading that book on burnout, and the whole first chapter is all about the importance of working out, because they say for most people, like you get anxiety spikes throughout your workday, and your body is, you know, made that you'll get an anxiety spike, say if like a bear attacks you and then you run away from the bear and you survive, and that tells your body you're safe. But if you are feeling anxiety because your boss sends you a sassy like message through Slack, your body never gets the sort of like response of you ran away from the bear and you survived. It just keeps stacking on as more and more things make you anxious. Whereas even just going for a walk tells your body like, okay, we're escaping, we're doing this, and gives your brain like the signals, okay, we survived the thing that was giving us that anxiety, we're good. And I was like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, it's so true, but it's so annoying because it's so simple. But so definitely wanted to shout that out. And like hot yoga in the fall and winter is the peak, especially like I just wear my big puffy coat and my Uggs and I roll up to the hot yoga studio and it's the best. So
I know I got back to a hot yoga studio this month too, and it's so great. And also it's just like, I don't know, doing at home yoga is really great, and like I've been doing it all year. Like I really love it. Specifically Yoga with Adriene on YouTube, like love it. But there's just something about being like in sync with a room full of people and just like sweating your ass off. Like my mind literally thinks about nothing. Like I feel like I'm not even thinking about the yoga poses in a hot yoga class. Like my mind is just blank, and it's so restful. Like I come home and I'm ready for bed because I'm like, I'm just so zen. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to consume any type of content on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
any type of media, like no magazines, no books, because I'm just so content.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sorry, just had to like write a little love letter to hot yoga because it just makes me feel so great, and like nothing
Yeah.
else makes me feel that way. But yes, I just like have been reunited with hot yoga the past few weeks and I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, and I think the next thing we had on our list is making plans to meet up and be social with friends or family. And one
Mhm.
great way to do that is to sign up for like a class together or an activity together, which I feel like can be really great if you are like anxious about going to a workout class,
Yeah, definitely.
because then it's someone else to look silly.
Yeah. And if you need that extra accountability as well,
Yes.
like if
Yeah.
signing up for the class isn't enough to hold you accountable, then be
Yeah.
like, okay, find an accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Tegan and I recently did is join a book club, like start a
Mm-hmm.
book club. I feel like that's also a really fun, cozy thing to do, especially through the fall and winter. It's kind of like it might just be like a monthly, well, probably is just like a monthly meetup. So it's not,
Mm-hmm.
super
Crazy.
intensive. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like a weekly commitment like maybe a new hobby would be, but it gives
Mm-hmm.
you a reoccurring social event to look forward to. And in the meantime, you have a book to read and,
Mm-hmm.
something to do to keep you busy. And then I just love chatting with our book club about the book, but just about life in general. So I
Yeah.
feel like that could be a fun social outing without
Mm-hmm.
just being like grab dinner and drinks, go
Yeah.
do crazy events and classes together. Like I think a book club could be a really inexpensive, fun idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also feel like fall and winter, at least in Toronto, it's a lot easier to get into like the food scene. Like
Mm-hmm.
trying to get a reservation in Toronto in the summer is like the Hunger Games.
Impossible.
Yeah. So I've been like saving up a lot of places, especially like cozy little like bars and that kind of thing. It's so much easier to try and do that kind of stuff in the winter, and especially like in the summer I just want to spend all my time on patios, where it's like, okay, fall and winter, that's your time to be exploring the bars and restaurants that don't have patios. And if you're feeling isolated, probably all of your friends are feeling the exact same way, so
Mm-hmm.
definitely reach out.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like it's always so hard to convince myself to go because it's like, oh, I don't want to go out on this
Mm-hmm.
rainy, cold night, But
Yeah.
there's nothing, well, maybe hot yoga, but there's nothing better than being in a really cozy, intimate, like coffee shop or
Yeah.
bar and you have like a glass of red wine and a really great chat with a friend. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just so cozy once you're there. And like, sure, it might suck going, it might suck coming home, but the time that you are out with your friend, it makes it all worth it. So just keep that in
Yeah.
mind. Hold
Yeah.
that to get you out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like, this is going to make me sound lame, but like riding public transit home on like a rainy day after you've had like 3 glasses of wine with a friend, like it's such a movie moment. Like that's the ultimate
Yeah. Main
romanticizing your
character.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Especially not so much anymore, but like on the old streetcars in Toronto. I
Yes.
always felt like
With
a
the
main
bell.
character on those.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And like the windows that like slide out, like I don't
Yeah.
know. That was just so easy to feel like a main character.
So good. Yeah. So bring a book with you and then look like the main character.
Yes.
Such a vibe.
Yeah. Your book club book? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're really
Exactly.
painting the picture here.
Yeah.
And if you're not going out or not going out often, I feel like something just to be mindful of too is while you're home is how much screen time you have in a day. Because I feel like especially if you live alone,
Yeah.
like it's so easy to just always put yourself in front of a screen to keep busy or I don't know, to fill the silence, like
Yeah.
literally go to the screen for anything. So just something to be mindful of as we do spend more time at home through these months. More home time does not have to equal more screen time. And for me too, I feel like this is another thing where all of a sudden I'll just feel really moody and really off. And then I'll look at my screen time that day and it's like double what it typically is. And I'm like, oh, right. This is probably why, like, I've been on TikTok way more than I should have been. And now I'm starting to feel like crap about myself, or crap about my life, or comparing myself to somebody else I saw, or feeling like everyone else is out and about and I'm at home by myself. Like, I don't know. All of this just stems from way too much screen time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I feel like the things, like, I find whatever I'm watching, it like changes the way I think about my life. And yeah, like sometimes shows I find very motivating, and other times there are shows that I find completely unmotivating. And it's like, I don't know, it takes a lot of self-awareness to be like, okay, this show is just like not vibing with me right now. Like, I don't know, the content you consume matters. And so even if it's like you're unfollowing people on TikTok and Instagram because they make you feel bad, or like I'm feeling really weird about my job and I've been binge watching The Office all week, and then I was like, oh my god, what if it's because like they hate their jobs at the office, and here I am, like, I don't know, it's just very interesting. So I obviously love watching movies and watching TV shows, but I also try and make a point of watching content that like uplifts me also. If that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
I saw this TikTok and this girl was like, I'm 27 years old, it's Friday night, and I just made a tea, like I'm laying on the couch by myself. And I was loving this, but then she started scrolling TikTok and all of a sudden started feeling like, what am I doing? I'm 27 years old. I should be out, like I should be doing things. Like all of a sudden she felt guilty for staying home, and like she felt really lonely when prior to opening the TikTok app, she was like embracing a cozy night in by herself, So I feel like that's the prime example. And I feel that way all the time where I'm like, I love my alone time. Then I start scrolling and or watching Sex in the City and I'm like, but I'm so young and alive. Like, why am I at home? Like, there's just no winning. Yeah, it's so stupid. But it's comforting to know we're all in the same boat. Like, so anytime I have like that freak out, I'm like, hey, it's not just me. Like, it's social media doing this to us. Yeah, definitely. Or screen time in general.
Yeah, for sure. I think the next thing on our list, which we talked about last year when we did the Hygge episode, and it is embracing season-specific activities. So the seeing friends and dressing for the weather are like the three main, like, I want to say commandments of Hygge. And this is why I feel like I get very excited about autumn and winter, whereas other people in my life do not. But it's because I go crazy and fully embrace season-specific activities. Like, I go all out for Halloween. I decorate my porch. I do like all these Halloween costumes. I'm throwing a Halloween party. And I watch all these Halloween movies and listen to the music. And it's like, this is something special I could only do in October. And it like takes the sting out of all the negatives. And it's like, I embrace it's soup season now. So, you try to eat seasonally and have the cozy, warm foods. Like, nothing's better than when you've had a stew on your stove and it makes your whole house smell so good. And like, I have a window on my front door, and when I make a stew for a long time, it gets like foggy. And it's like, ooh, this is like the perfect fall vibe. And, going on like hikes to see the changing colors, like embracing things that are special to fall, make it so that it's not just you focusing on the negatives of it.
Yeah. 100%. I love that so much. Gotta lean into it, make the most.
Exactly.
If you love fall or not, make the most of it.
Yeah.
The last idea I had is maybe niche, maybe a little impulsive. I don't know, but I wanted to throw it out here. and it's to look into getting a pet. Like, especially if you're someone who spends a lot of time at home, and maybe if you live alone as well, I feel like getting a pet, I'm not saying go get one tomorrow if you've never thought about it before. Like,
Yeah.
obviously put thought into it and like make sure it is a lifestyle change, and like, you know,
Mhm.
you want to make sure you're committing to that responsibility. But for me, I feel like my cat Cleo, there's been days where I just, in the middle of the day where I'm having like a bad day at work, she's often laying on my bed these days, and I'll just go lay
Mhm.
with her like
Yeah.
for 20 minutes over my lunch break, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
you are my emotional support cat. Like,
Yeah.
just laying there taking a time out, you know, it just really like grounds me. So I wanted to throw that on the list. I also have heard how a cat purr, and Cleo, my cat, purrs
Mm.
all the time. Like, I just look at her and she starts purring, which is so cute. But a cat's purr is them releasing endorphins, and apparently it also makes humans release endorphins,
Mhm.
which causes lower stress levels and anxiety and all of this
Mm.
within humans just from your cat purring. So I feel like it's good company, but it also is really just good for your mental health to have a little cute furry friend around. And also, if you're feeling lazy, sluggish, and just like unmotivated, I really feel like having an added responsibility of like a pet who relies on me, that really
Mhm.
gets me going. Like, for instance, in the morning when I'm struggling to get out of bed, I'm like, oh, well, I have to feed my cat. I have to change,
Yeah.
like, scoop her litter box. Like, somebody else is relying on me to show up for
Yeah.
them today. And while I'm showing up for them, I might as well show up for myself as well. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
wanted to put that on the list. I know it's not for everybody, but if you're thinking of getting a pet, this is your sign to do it.
Yeah. I love that. I do love my kitties. I also do the same thing where they sleep on my bed, and every once in a while I'll just be like, "No, I've got to lay here and I've got to pet you."
Yeah.
And then they'll
Yeah.
purr and I'll be like, "Okay, good. We're in this
Yeah.
together." Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, release those endorphins. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And it is like,
Yeah.
especially if you're alone, like your cat like sits on your lap and cuddles you, like that's an element of like touch too that you
Yeah.
don't get.
True.
Where it's like, look, this little creature's
Yeah.
like cuddling me and loves me.
Yeah. So good. And for me, also, it's just like a good perspective change where I'm like, my
Mm-hmm.
cat literally just like eats, goes to the bathroom, plays with her toys, and she's literally living her best life and sleeps.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she'll lay on the couch, she'll lay on my bed, like, and she's living her best life. Meanwhile, I'm like so worked up about something at work, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not important. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but this is what goes through my head as I'm laying on my bed with my emotional support
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Actually, yeah, I did have one more idea too. I'm sorry,
sure.
this just came to me earlier, but I feel like it could also be a good time for a glow up. And I know we did a glow up
Mm.
in the spring last year, 2 years ago. I don't even know if we've had the podcast 2 years. It'll be going on 2 years ago in the spring to come. But I feel like that's also something that's been on my mind lately. Is like, okay, if I am spending time at home, or like,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's kind of like we're saying, like, embrace the season specific activities, but it's also like
Mhm.
embrace the relaxation and the time at home with
Yeah.
self-care. And for me, that looks like taking bubble baths more often,
Mhm.
doing face masks, like maybe whitening my teeth, doing foot masks, like, you know, really leaning into the idea of like relaxation while I'm
Mhm.
spending so much time at home, but also framing it up in a way of like, this is a glow up and I'm doing this to feel better about myself. It could also be
Yeah.
getting a haircut. I feel like
Mm.
getting a haircut when the seasons change is like such a good way to like just feel fresh heading into a new
Yeah.
season. Maybe getting a facial, like getting a massage. You know, these are things that will get you out of the house, but will also just make you feel like you're taking care of yourself and like really leaning into the relaxation part of hermit season.
Yeah. 100%. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for real. That was my last idea.
Perfect. Well, that is where we're going to leave it this week. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that our podcast is like a part, if you like live alone, can feel like you're socializing. I don't know. Maybe that's lame, but that's my hope.
No. That's my hope too. I would love that.
Yeah. And I mean, if you are feeling isolated, DM us. We love when we get DMs from you fine folks. So that is always appreciated. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, and Spotify at Our Golden 20s. That's where you can send those DMs. And we also have a Patreon community, which is where the episode goes first. So if you want to hear it before anyone else in the world, become a patron for as little as $2 a month. And yeah, I think that's everything. Give us a rating if you feel like it. But other than that, thanks for listening.
See you next Tuesday.